Good morning, folks. How you doing? I thought what I'd do today is go ahead and do another kind of quick garden tour. I always say quick, and then I end up talking for like 45 minutes. But I thought I'd do like a quick garden tour, show you the stuff that's looking really good, some things I've been learning, maybe give you guys a few ideas for your own yards. Right now, we're still in the middle of, a drought, but the temperature cooled down. Up until about 5 or 6 days ago, it was in the 90s, and we're down to the high 70s, low 80s. So it feels like September right now, but the ground is still extremely dry. So I've been watering, I would be watering my potted plants daily anyways, but there are some plants around the landscape that I have been bringing watering cans and watering because some of my shrubs that I care about are starting to just turn into wilty messes, and I may have actually lost a couple. I've got this hedge over here, and these are the newer variety of arborvitae. I think it's green giant, but I got these little guys. They were only like a 1 or 3 gallon container, and it's taken them like 5 years just to get to this size. But when I was out working in the yard over the weekend, I stumbled across this one right here, which is in the worst possible way for sunlight. And I think I lost this one. The one next to it is starting to show signs of drought stress, but I really do think I lost this one, unfortunately. So for the last couple days, I've come back, and I think I did maybe 2 watering cans on all, there's 5 or 6 of them here, with a little bit extra on the one here, but I think we lost one, and all you can do is walk around your landscape, keep your eyes open, and if you see something starting to show drought stress, start watering it right away. When we went on vacation to Washington, we were gone for a week. I did have somebody come and water all the potted plants, but when I got back, this is Ilex Alpaca here, and there's 3 of them I put in. But the one in the middle, you see how the foliage basically just turned brown. And my camera, my lavalier is stuck on the shrub there. But you see how the foliage did, just turned brown, and it actually was falling on the ground. So, I've been blowing the foliage into the woods, but I've also been bringing 1 or 2 watering cans a day and just dumping it at the base of this plant, all 3 of them. And I'm happy to say that, you do see there's new growth coming. So this one I think is going to be okay. It's going to be a little bit thinner for a while, but it's coming back, which is really nice to see. Now at the back of my landscape here, this is Viburnum plicatum tomentosum, and it's underneath a sugar maple, unfortunately, so it's a very dry spot. And every year when the heat of the summer comes, they'll just start drooping. Like this afternoon, they'll just really start drooping. They don't look that bad now, it's still the morning. There's a little bit of droopiness over here too. So these guys, they end up looking really lousy, but they usually get through it. Like you can see how there's some dead branches because they just dried out. They didn't have enough moisture to keep those alive. So this is one where I could bring a sprinkler. There's so many of them back here. I could bring a sprinkler. I don't know, I just kind of take it as it comes, but if you have Viburnum plicatum tomentosum, double file viburnum, they are very prone to drought stress. And then just because we're on the topic of viburnums, I did just want to show you, this is what's known as an Allegheny Viburnum. I don't know the scientific name, I'll put it here for you. But this is also growing underneath, giant sugar maple trees, and it's doing perfectly fine. And I think if you need a viburnum for shade, for like a screening, I think these are semi-evergreen, so they'll keep some of their leaves over the winter. But I really like this plant, which I don't see a ton in the nurseries, But this is like it's a hybrid between a leatherleaf viburnum and something else to get this Allegheny. And I mean, look, I've given it no water and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's actually got, it's got a spider web on it, but it's got, there's a term for it, but the leaves have like a fuzziness to them. A lot of times you'll see the plants with a fuzzy leaves like lamb's ears will do better with dry conditions. Pubescent, that's the term, pubescent. All right, so then I did just want to show you, these are my leatherleaf viburnums, and they're growing underneath some maple trees, and there's some giant white pines. And the leatherleafs are doing, you know, they're doing well as well. There's no signs of drought stress on them. So this is another great choice for a shady spot where you want a semi-evergreen shrub. But if I had to choose between Allegheny and leatherleaf, I think the Allegheny actually does a little bit better in the drier conditions. And I just wanted to show you folks these 3 plants here, and they were probably half the size when I planted them in the spring, but I've been giving them some water on a regular basis and they're looking great. And then the elephant ears, they get 2 watering canfuls a day. And 2 weeks ago when it was hot, humid, and just disgustingly hot and humid, these elephant ears were loving life. And they're looking absolutely gorgeous. And I have been fertilizing the elephant ears, all my outdoor potted plants. I have been fertilizing. I was fertilizing every 2 weeks with a liquid fertilizer, but the last 3 weeks I've actually gone to fertilizing weekly just to see how things look. And I think we can agree that things are looking really nice. And I was thinking of dividing these guys, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're just gonna let them. We're just going to let them be and keep fertilizing them, and we'll deal with them when we have to deal with them. What I've been using to fertilize is just this Miracle Grow. It's a water-soluble plant food. The box says every 7 to 14 days. I think it's 20-20-20. I could be wrong. It's 24-8-16. And I know I'm pretty big on being organic and not using chemicals, and I don't really want to be using synthetic fertilizer, but I don't really have any other options, or I haven't looked up other options. So, maybe it is easier for me to just water with this. I feel a little bit of guilt, I guess, of using this, but I'm just watering the potted plants and a few annuals in the landscape. I'm not watering everything, but just, this is what I'm using. This box was like $20, less than $20 at BJ's 2 years ago, and I've still got plenty in here. The way it works is, the box has these bags with like 4 packets in them, and then I'll just take 1 packet at a time, put it in here, and then there's a scoop. There's a scoop here, so if you're watering outdoor plants, you just use this big side of the scoop, and it's like 1 scoop to 1.5 gallons. I just do 1 scoop to my watering can, which might be more than that. And then for indoor plants, it's on this side. But I just like using this better because it's easier to store it and to get into it. If I had something a little wider, it'd be even better. So I just wanted to show you the flowers on the back patio here. So I've got some begonias. I'll see if I can find the names of them. I really do need to come through and cut these begonias back a touch, mostly just this pot, and encourage them to be bushy. They're kind of getting long and lanky. But I do just want to show you these cool blooms, these nice double. I love the flowers, and I think just the way this plant grows, The flowers end up being kind of hidden by the foliage, but they're absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous flowers. And once again, I have been fertilizing these weekly with the liquid fertilizer. Every Sunday I'll do it, and it really has made a difference. And also with the fuchsia here, which has kind of blended into the landscape, I think what was happening with my fuchsias was it was getting really hot. I don't think fuchsias like really hot temperatures, but I think they maybe did want a little bit more fertilizer, because since I started fertilizing more often, they've definitely been flowering better. So I think a contributing factor for the fuchsias was definitely the hot weather, and maybe they need a little more fertilizer. And then look at this gorgeous PG hydrangea. This is what we're looking at when we look out our kitchen window. And I've got 2 hummingbird feeders back here. And what's happened is we've actually got like 2 hummingbird families, and basically daily we'll see anywhere from 1 to 4 hummingbirds at a time duking it out for who gets control of the hummingbird feeders. They're violent little birds. Actually, we haven't really seen contact, but they just keep chasing each other incessantly. Look at that. That's beautiful. Let me just show you. I mean, this is what it's all about here, is you create, for me at least, is to create these spots like this where you've got the PG hydrangea weeping over, you've got the beautiful potted plants, you've got the hummingbirds coming as well, doing their thing. I had the Clethra berbervensis there in bloom, and then as we scroll down there, you've got the herbstone rudbeckia, and then the meadow rue is also in bloom. And it's midsummer. It hasn't rained in probably 3 weeks, and everything's looking, those plants are looking great with no supplemental water. We may have had some rain a week or 2 ago, but it's been dry, let's put it that way. It's so bright outside that I can't really pull too far away from this fuchsia in front. I believe this is swing time fuchsia, but I just want you to see if I've got the blooms again. I've got nice fresh looking blooms. They're not as big as when I bought it from the nursery. And there's nice healthy looking new growth on it. So I'm just really happy to see that the fuchsia, here we go. The fuchsia's doing okay. And then while I was out a few weeks ago, I did pick up, this is caladium down here, and this is one called Torchy. So caladium only grows, it's an annual, it's actually a tuberous plant. So what I'm gonna do with these guys is when the season ends, I saw a video on YouTube where somebody just ripped them up, cut the foliage off the top, cut the roots off the bottom, let them dry out, stored them, and then you just plant them the next year. So I'm definitely going to do that. But I really like the way that red fills in there, and hopefully we'll have more next year. And maybe this will be like a regular thing, is to have that caladium come through there every year. And then also my farfugium, because I've been fertilizing more, is finally starting to come into its own. And that's really nice to see. And also these petunias over here. I don't really think the fertilizer is a huge factor in these. I think petunias just love hot, dry weather, although I have been watering these daily. Look at those gorgeous flowers. I mean, there's all different shades. And there's a few toads running around when I'm watering. I'll see some toads in here. And I just want to show you, there's something about this pink back here, and I don't know if it's going to show on video, but it's just a very special pink. I really like that pink. That pink is my favorite. And also There's some over here where they've kind of got like the color goes from white in the middle to darker on the outside. Maybe it's like over here. What I did is I came through and I didn't cut everything back out here, but I had my pruners, so I cut them back from the edge, and then I just thinned them out a bit to try to encourage new growth. So I don't cut them all back at once, because eventually they're going to kind of burn themselves out if they keep getting taller and taller. So what I did is here's one. It's got like the whitish center and then the lighter pink. So what I'd like to do is just come through these, I don't know, every couple weeks maybe, and just thin them out a bit, just like with your hair, and that way we'll encourage them to be bushy and have new growth, as opposed to these long, lanky plants. And then I did just want to show you folks this Meadow Room, which is over 8 feet tall right now, and the wind caught it. I did stake it to the gutter here. See, it's got this little tie, but when you look out this window in the house, you actually can see the purple of the Meadow Room. It's really a nice look. All right, so this one might be very overexposed too. It's really bright out today, but my little swath of petunias, which self-sowed, is doing great. And then I think I've got either a black-eyed Susan, or that could be a purple coneflower coming up. Then I got a seedling from the Impatiens there. And then these Impatiens are just amazing. So again, all these, I just brought the pots outside. They started growing from seed over the winter. I've just been fertilizing them. These get 2 watering cans a day. The Impatiens really like almost boggy soil. And I mean, they're just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And all I have to do is water them and fertilize them. And then while we're in the front of the house, I still need to prune this one Varder Valley here. I'm hoping to do that with you folks watching. But I pruned this one over here about a month ago. And I think you can kind of see how, like right here, this is all growth. The only reason there's new growth here is because I pruned. And wherever you prune, you see in here too, wherever you prune is where you're going to start to get that new growth. So even over here, so I would have pruned here, and I just really don't understand why people use hedge clippers to prune, besides speed, obviously, because you can just do so much more if you selectively prune your shrubs. And this one was actually, I pruned so much off of it because I hadn't pruned it in a few years. I was feeling like this shrub was actually under stress and not going to come back. But I mean, it's doing, see, even down here, it's doing really great. And this is kind of cool too. I've actually been watering the petunias in my sidewalk, and now my sidewalk is in bloom. And I've been trying to favor this one too. That's, you know, if somebody steps on it, it happens. But just love that. And I love the way the petunias, and it's not Bacopa, it's the other one with the larger flowers, is growing through here too. And then there's also some catmint back there. And if we come over this way, I always have trouble with that other plant. It's not Bacopa, but it's the other one. And then I have a white petunia, which I have no idea where that came from, but that's pretty cool too. And I guess we should just take a moment to appreciate this PG Hydrangea. And I haven't pruned this one yet because I keep saying I need to make a pruning video, but I haven't, so it just looks like a big mound of foliage. But if I was more up to date on my maintenance, I would have taken all the branches off in the first 4 to 5 feet. All the branches going through the railing on the house there would be gone. I would thin out the top to just the strongest growth. And also, you know, anything, I might leave a few growing towards the house, but try to keep it from going towards the house. And then this Hartlage wine Calycanthus, at some point we'll get out here and knock this down to something like 4 to 5 feet tall, because I think we can see how much it grows. So this, you know, within an hour I could have this corner back under control, but with big white flowers like that, it doesn't really matter if it's overgrown. It looks beautiful anyways. And then over here, I just want you to notice all the maple leaves on the ground. So none of the maple trees on my property are showing any signs of drought stress, but this one maple tree right here is, every year it loses its leaves early, which is basically the sign of a tree in decline. And if we come a little closer, you can see that there's some rot. So this is already dead. There's some dead branches over here, and it's actually starting to split. So this is actually on the state's property, the road I live in. And it's actually in my neighbor's property too, but I really do need to call the state and ask them to come take a look at this so that this tree can be taken down before it falls across the road. And then I did just want to show you over here, this is my Tresertis Herta, and it's just coming into bloom. And so we're in a pretty shady spot of the yard. There's some more blooms there. I haven't given it any supplemental water at all, and it's looking this good. So, you know, and I think this may be a native. And then over here, this is my Agastache, which is coming into bloom, and it's significantly shorter because I cut it back early in the season to control the height. And the pollinators are absolutely loving it. And you can actually smell it over here. Whenever we see Agastache, we annoy the bees and we grab the foliage, we crush it, and we smell it because it smells just like licorice. But really liking the way that's going. And then if I can get through here, my major wheeler honeysuckle has just been taken off. I started giving it some water, and I think it just had to kind of get established. And there was one over here. I had a few flowers over here, but it looks like they're gone now. But I think next year this is just going to be covered in honeysuckle and then just covered in flowers. And what I've noticed is the titmice will be landing up here and they try to pick the seeds out. There's some maple seeds in there, but I think they've been munching on the tips of this honeysuckle as well, which is good. It's encouraging it to branch out. It's funny how things work out. You know, I've talked about this catmint that's self-sowed, and it's really tall and it's a little bit unruly. And part of me has said I should come out and just cut the whole shrub back, or the whole perennial back, to like a foot tall and let it regrow nice and dwarf. But about a week ago, I was looking out the window and I saw a couple goldfinches. They actually land on it and they'll start munching on the seed heads. So I'm not sure if it's good or bad yet, but I've decided to just leave the seed heads and let the goldfinches enjoy them. And I may end up with just a ton of catmint self-sowing in this part of the garden. And I've also noticed the goldfinches, you know, starting to munch on my purple coneflower as well. And it's just really nice because I've got the hummingbirds, you know, as violent as they are, I've got the hummingbirds flitting around, and I look out the window and I've got the goldfinches here. My cats will actually sit in this windowsill, and sometimes there'll be a hummingbird that comes to get to the Jacob Klein flowers. And, you know, what I've kind of done, and it's taken me time to figure out, is I wanted, you know, wildlife to get closer and become part of the house. And I've pretty much done it now, where I've got the birds coming for the seed heads here. I've got the birds coming for seed heads there. I've got the hummingbirds. We have the hummingbird feeder on the kitchen window where they're there daily, many times. And it's you know, it's not so much about just making pretty flowers, but to work with nature, not against her. And it's nice to be there. And while I'm over here, I did just want to show you this tomato plant is coming along pretty well. We got some flowers on it now. And then I also did just want to briefly show you, this is the Ruby Slippers Hydrangea. And remember last video, everything was white and just starting to turn pink. Well, now Ruby Slippers has, you know, she turned pink. And I'm really not too current on my oak leaf hydrangea varieties, but I know there's some new ones like called Quick Fire, and there's a bunch of fire. I think there's like a fire series. And I guess this is the way people are choosing them now, is the ones that turn red. And there's one house in town where they have some oak leaves, which I think is one of those newer fire series that right now they're still white, but these people, they cut them back to like a foot from the ground every year. And it could be a paniculata too. I'm not sure if it's a quercifolia. It's probably a paniculata, to be honest, but this reminds me very much of that, where they just cut the whole shrub down to like a foot from the ground. It only grows like 3 to 4 feet. It's just covered in these like foot-long white flowers now, and then as the fall progresses, they become more and more red until it's just this deep red comes like September or October, which is so nice. I need to, one, get a picture to show you folks, and two, get some and do the same thing at my yard. But right now we're talking about Ruby Slippers Oak Leaf Hydrangea, and this is just fabulous. Again, I'm just going to say, love Ruby Slippers, love the compact habit, reliable blooming, and I mean, this is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I have not fed the birds yet, but as we're out here, there's literally 3 squirrels, and I think I already chased off 2 or 3 others out there. So once we finish filming the video this morning, oh look, we got a goldfinch up there. It's nice to see them. Never really seen goldfinches up until this year. I did just want to show you folks, I just think it's kind of funny how, you know, this is the only spot in my yard I use mulch this year to keep the mud off of this path. So there's maybe 8 bags, maybe 10 bags tops of cedar bark mulch here. And wouldn't you know it, you know, some creature, I don't know if it's a mole or what it is, but there's regular activity of some creature in here. And it just amazes me how, you know, just like with plants, animals have certain conditions they like. And there's something about this mulch that this creature seems to really be enjoying. And then just since we're here, this is the Actea pachypoda. I just really love that white bloom, and this plant is extremely poisonous, so don't eat it. Don't let your dogs eat it. You'll see these growing in the woods once in a while, but I really want to figure out how to propagate these, because I did grow, or a friend of mine got me some Actea that was grown at a nursery, and I don't know what cultivar it was or variety, but the things were like 3 times as long. They grew really lanky, and I eventually just ripped them out and moved them farther away from the house, because I love the way these are they're so compact, you know, even though they're growing deep shade. It's the middle of a drought. We're underneath maple trees. They look great. They've got white berries. So I really want to look up how to propagate these and see if I can maybe start propagating some, because I think this is gorgeous and underused. And then I guess just since we're back here, this is Clethra alnifolia, and there's a pink one down there which I think is probably pink spice, but there's also a white one over here. And Clethra, when you see Clethra, you need to smell the flowers if there's not a lot of bees on them, because it's a very, very strong fragrance. Clethra you will see growing natively here. If there's a wetland, you'll see it growing just above the water. And the fact that it can grow right next to water and in deep shade with a drought going on just blows me away. I think I've thought of ripping this out many times, but I mean, this is just such a testament to how tough Clethra is that it's still doing perfectly fine in the middle of this drought. And we've also got the Meadow Room growing here. These are all volunteers that we just let them stay. And then there's one over there as well. All right, folks, well, we're going to wrap that one up. If I could say one thing today, it would be, if you're in the middle of a drought, no matter where you are in the United States or the world, you know, every few days, walk around your landscape, see if something looks dry, and if it does, either, you know, put the hose on a trickle, leave the hose on the plant for a while, grab some watering cans, put some water on the plant, and, you know, water it daily for a few days to kind of get it back, you know, get the soil saturated again. But then, you know, a few times a week, go out there and give it some water, and just kind of keep things moist so that the plant survives. And if you've got an irrigation system, great. But if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. Just do what you need to do to get some water on the plant without wasting water, especially if you're somewhere where there's like a water ban or something. But the plants they'll be perfectly fine. The plants want to survive, but they're not going to survive if there's no water in the soil. So thanks for watching today, folks, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.